I see. So it's more of like under like interpolation rules more so,
Yeah,
or
it's interpolated because other than that, like yeah, it'd be not really possible.
yeah, like what's the price tag to just straight up sample
There's
a
no
whiny
price
song?
tag. There's no price tag. A lot of people like in that genre, people will turn you down just because of who you are, or like just because you're secular, or because you
Right.
curse or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole different. It's a whole different ball game. Like I remember Jay Z had to change the sample for what was it? Streets is talking. I think
Uh-huh.
he had to change the sample from it because the artist was just like, nah, you can't curse in this shit. So he had to take all the curse words out, and that was it. That's the only way they clear it. They didn't care about the money.
Right. And like if BB or CC Winans goes and looks at the song title of any other JPEG Mafia song, they're like,
Yeah,
uh,
they gonna be like, oh hell no.
nah.
So I think it's definitely like they judge your character or they
Right.
judge like how you are
They
before
were
they
they like,
they
you're not
curse
gonna
you.
do that to my God. Mm-mm.
Exactly. If I was like Lecrae or somebody like or like a gospel rapper with no
Lecrae, oh
malice.
my fucking God.
I'm just trying to pull somebody out my ass. If I was like no malice or somebody or some shit, they might be like, all right, I feel you walking with the Lord. But
Man,
me,
you going in the gospel rap bag. I remember back in the day when I was a kid, there was a group called Gangsta Gospel Disciples or some shit like that.
wait, what?
Yes, it
I've
was
never
on
heard of this.
and it was crazy because they were like on some like Bone Thug shit, but they were only rapping about Christianity and like being good stewards of the Lord. But they were also, but they it was weird, man. They were trying to like have the aesthetic of like we kill niggas, but they had like
Yeah.
Bibles in the video and shit, and it was very funny. They were
It
like,
don't. It's. I remember back in the day, like being in a religious family and having that kind of energy around, and it just doesn't work usually because it's too conflicting
yeah,
lifestyles. You can't. I mean, you can be like that and be like a gangster crazy nigga, but like it just looks weird when you try to make that both your personalities at
it
once.
looks real. It's real weird, bro. It's like a bad mix of aesthetics because it's like,
Yeah. Like if you beef with a nigga, are you gonna pray for them or like beat them up? Like
right, right.
nobody's gonna know. So it's like, yeah, like, but yeah. So I know that energy, but yeah, it never usually works. But I have to look that up because that sounds funny as shit. The gangster disciples of God, the who?
Yeah, it was Gangsta Gospel Disciples. And I remember for a while, Debo, Tiny Lister was trying to be on that shit. He would go on
Oh
Trinity
shit.
Broadcasting Network. And I remember one time, bro, I was a kid, and I swear to God, if I could find this on YouTube or if somebody could find it, Debo was on TBN talking with like two white pastors, and he was looking out into the crowd and at the camera. And he was like, "I'm telling you right now, if you ain't gonna accept God into your life, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna have to squeeze you. I'm gonna have to squeeze you because this is a matter of life and death. I tell all my homies, if you don't accept Christ, I gotta beat you." And it's like literally like he was
I
literally
mean,
doing Debo on TV, like, I will hit you if you don't
if you don't.
get on this guy's shit. It's
Hey
like,
yo,
bro,
that's one way to get a nigga to accept Christ is to just threaten them.
yeah, it was so funny, bro. Like 90s black male toxicity was like
Oh yeah,
it
it's a
was like
whole different. It's like it's just unnecessary. It's like yo, I'll be listening to shit from the '90s, and I'm like, damn, this is so unnecessary. It's like they don't even need to do it half the time. It's just like so ingrained. It's actually funny now when I listen to it. I'm like, oh, this would never
it's
apply
so
to me.
funny because it would always either loop around to being like damn near gay or
Yeah,
it's just like hilarious and not sounding tough at all.
pretty much. I don't know, man. I've definitely been. I don't know what this is, but I just been looking back at shit out of context now and just like really enjoying how toxic it is without context. I'm just like, damn, this is toxic as fuck. I don't miss it, but I'm just like, I remember it. There was a time when like everything was just toxic as shit, and that's just how it was.
Yeah, I think. Do you think that artists and musicians and fans, period, in like music and art today have it easier or harder than what
Um,
it was back then? Because we've been
they
around.
have
We're
it.
both in our early 30s, so we've seen
Yeah,
it kind of. change over time. But how do you feel about it?
They have it easier and harder. They
Yeah,
kind of have it easier in the sense that it's easier to get yourself out there. Like, you know, the younger niggas now, like, I don't think they're really into signing with labels and doing like this and that. Because they see you can just put your shit up yourself and just like do it that way and wait it out until you're worth something to somebody and they really like respect you and give you a price.
yeah,
That's respectable. But also they have it way harder because every single thing they do is out in fucking public. You can't hide at all unless you're just not
yeah.
on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
if you're like 20 or something, your entire life has been on the fucking internet, basically, damn near. So niggas can dig up whatever on you and just like use it against you at any point. So it's kind of harder in that sense that they have to kind of like watch what they say and do and look around their shoulder a lot more. Whereas like, yeah, you could in the 90s, you could have like 7 songs about beating bitches up and nobody would be like blink an eye. They'd be like, all right, bet. But
They're
like
like, yeah, okay, cool, man.
now a nigga will be like, wait, no, which bitch did you beat up? I found her.
Yeah,
Here's her Twitter. And she said, like, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? It's just like, it's kind of that kind of energy. So it's like they have it easier and harder in that sense. It's easier that they can get their shit out there, but like, once you're out there, you have to watch what you do and how you act, really.
yeah. And I feel like the like old guard of music and entertainment was so toxic that it was so
Yeah.
accepted and
Yeah,
so
pretty
like,
much.
you know what I mean? It was just like that was what they did. It's almost like when you watch old clips of football in like the 60s and 70s and they hit a nigga and he almost dies.
Yeah,
Everybody
they're
just,
just like
and everybody's
helmet
like,
to helmet crashing into each other.
yeah, and everybody's like happy about it for some reason. Like nobody's really sad. Like a nigga kind of get hurt now in basketball and like they play the national anthem and like, you know what I mean? Fergie comes out and shit. Like, oh man, sports, they used to just, a nigga would get, his brain would turn into salsa on on the field and they would just
On
like,
everything.
you
On
know,
everything, yeah.
and I feel
Like,
that way about music shit too. Like you hear like, I mean, even thinking about like where Jay Prince comes out of
yeah.
and that kind of old guard of like, the Suge Knights and like gang culture being like so intertwined with the music shit. I think that like a lot of shit couldn't have survived back then just because it couldn't, you wouldn't have, how would you have made it through this gauntlet